What are the core requirements that chiropractic schools are looking from their students?
Definitely varies from school to school. Generally, I don't think there's any degree requirement for the schools. I think you can get a degree in pretty much anything.
Anything?
So you can have
Cool.
a general bachelor of arts, so long
Yep.
as you have the certain core course requirements for
Okay.
whatever school you're applying to.
Right.
So most of them are going to be your anatomies, physiologies,
Right.
maybe some chemistry. It just kind of varies from school to
Right.
school.
Did Sherman
But
have
yeah,
any
there's definitely
specific
more.
course requirements?
Pardon?
Sorry, did Sherman have any specific course requirements that you needed to take?
Yeah, they do it by course hours, so it varies
Gotcha.
like hours within a certain field. So yeah, that would be anatomy and physiology. There's chemistry, biology.
And was there a minimum GPA requirement?
Yes, I can't recall off the top of my head what that is, but there is a minimum GPA requirement.
Noted.
One thing that I really admire about Sherman though is they're not just about you as a piece of paper. They're a lot more about you as a person.
Right.
So they have you write two separate essays on why you're choosing chiropractic and why you're choosing Sherman, so that you can actually kind of show why you're going, not just because I grew up 20 minutes away and I want to
Right.
be a doctor, so that's why I want to come. Well, even if you have a 4.0, they might not be super enthusiastic about you going there because you're not passionate about it. They're
Exactly.
really there to. It's a small school and it's just one big family, and they want you to succeed. They want to help you as much as possible, and they kind of want everyone to be on the same page and be there for the right reasons, and not just because whatever your reasons are. They want you to be there because it's your life purpose and nothing can stop you. And that's why it's such a great community there. Everyone just thrives off each other, and everyone else is just doing more things, and you just want to do more things, and they help you do more things. It's really good in that sense.
I think that's an amazing, community to have, especially, at a school. It just makes sense. I think
Yeah,
a lot
there's
of
definitely not like a competition or anything going on there.
right.
If you miss a class, it's not like someone can be like, no, you can't have my notes. Like, it's like, yeah, for sure, you can have my notes. I'll help you study. I made a quiz for this. You want it? Like, it's very
That's fantastic.
family based.
They really cared about what was on paper, like your GPA.
And I like to think I'm more than just a number. I'm more than
For
just
sure.
my GPA. I feel like there's a person behind that GPA, and they really did care about that, and they wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your grades are. If I get all C's, someone gets all A's, like you get the same degree at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And they want you to be successful. So if you are the smartest person in the room, but you have no people skills and you can't, talk chiropractic to people, then all that brain power kind of goes to waste. Versus if you are driven and this is your life's purpose, but you struggle with it in school, you're still probably going to be a very successful chiropractor, probably better than one who can't articulate what it is and what is a genius. So.
Right. Well, do you mind sharing what you wrote in one or both of those essays, explaining, why you wanted to get into it and the passion behind it and why Sherman?
Yeah, I think I've already kind of touched on some of it, but for the why chiropractic, it's why chiropractic because this is my life's purpose. And it's actually grown more so as I've gone there. Like I went in thinking chiropractic was, I thought I knew what chiropractic was, and I went in there like, yeah, this is for me. And then I got there, and it was actually the very first day. We take philosophy classes just to understand why we're doing what we're doing, why we think this way. Not indoctrinating us. It's very open. Like they're very open to you challenging them, which is also something that I was not accustomed to at a post-secondary educational institution. Questioning your professors.
Right.
They encourage it. They love it. And I remember on my very first day, I had my prior preconceived notions of everything challenged, and it's just constantly kind of like making me realize it's more and it's more and it's more and it's bigger, better, and it's awesome.
It's fantastic.
So I guess for the why chiropractic and why Sherman is just because it's the school that's teaching it the way I think it should be taught. That it's keeping chiropractic pure and unadulterated. So we are still just dealing with removing interference from the nervous system through locating, analyzing, correcting vertebral subluxation. All those other things are great. Modalities are great. Massage is great. Arthrostim is great. All these different things are great, but it's not chiropractic. it's great for someone else who that's what they specialize in and that's their life's purpose. My life's purpose is not massage, so I shouldn't be giving massage because I'm doing my patient and myself a disservice. I should be referring them to someone who that's what they study, that's what they live for, and that's what they eat, sleep, breathe, and that patient will be much better under their care for massage than under mine. My passion is chiropractic. I will deliver the goods of chiropractic, and that's what Sherman teaches me. And one thing, as I've gone through, like currently, I try to shadow as many doctors as I can and just try to see what, because school and practice are two entirely different things. They can try to prepare you all they can, but at the end of the day, like when the rubber meets the road, you got to be ready. So I've tried to go to as many offices as possible. And when you sit in a waiting room, you can just feel the energy. Like that's another thing that I love about chiropractic is people want to be there. Like, I don't know how many patients go to their medical doctor and sit there and they're like, I love it here. I want to come back. I need to be here.
Right.
You don't really get that there. Whereas chiropractic, you get to go into work and you get to have people love on you all day long. Like, people want to be there. They're happy to be there. They see the value. They see what's happening in their body and what's changing, what's adapting. And they're so grateful and they just give it back so much in their love. And it's just, it is infectious. Like, it's amazing.
We really want to help our audience get an idea of what they need to consider if they want to, become a chiropractor. So how did you navigate, that Sherman evaluating, transcripts from school and any financial aid?
Yeah. So as a Canadian student, it's a little bit different, and I'm sure the audience is mostly going to be Canadian. So they do try to help out with that because they like to bring people in from all over, especially because they know they're kind of the school, one of the few schools that's teaching it this way, and they don't want Canadians to feel like they can't get it because they're in a different country. Well, they try to help that, so they do give international scholarships to help kind of accommodate the move, as well as the difference in the dollar. Like right now, the Canadian dollar is not doing so hot compared to the USD, so the international scholarship definitely helps with that. In terms of transcripts, they were really good with that because at McMaster, for kinesiology, it was a direct entry program. So we started doing kinesiology from day one. It wasn't like you had to do a general science year and then you kind of start getting into the kinesiology side. We got that right off the get-go. So I didn't have to take any, I had to take a couple, but very few, like general chem, bio, physics, anything like that. So on my transcript, it doesn't look like I have a lot of that, but I explained to the school, instead of learning biology, we get the plants and all this stuff. We said, well, kinesiology, you're dealing with the human body. We don't really care too much about plant cells, so we're going to give you biology, but we're just going to give you the biology pertinent to the human body. And so I explained that to them, and I gave Sherman my syllabi, I guess, from all of my classes of all my courses that would have kind of gone to those various requirements. They looked through them and said, yep, you've got all your hours and plenty more. So they're definitely willing to kind of accommodate that, and they're really willing to work with you. The admissions team is fantastic. I work actually as a student ambassador there, and so I deal with the team a lot, and they're just the most caring, loving, helpful people. I remember when I was applying, I got assigned my own admissions member, and she gave me her cell phone number. She said, call me day or night anytime, and just like was really personable, like just could feel that I wanted to be there, and she tried to do everything she could to be there. Like I remember I was studying for my finals, and in my fourth year of undergrad, and I got a text from her saying, hey, I know today's your last final, good luck on it. And I just thought, like, who does that? What school does that? That's not normal. That's weird, and I like it. Like,
that's above and beyond for sure.
Yeah, that's above and beyond, and that was kind of like one of those moments where I was like, okay, this is the school. This is where I need to be. So they're very willing to work with you. I'm actually helping a girl from Alberta right now. I think she's in Calgary. I'm helping her transition. She's going to be coming down to South Carolina in the fall, I believe. And so she's been asking me a bunch of questions, and I've been trying to help her as much as possible. So that's another thing too. You get access to the ambassadors who will definitely help you kind of transition into the Sherman life. And also just every student there you can ask too. There were no Canadian ambassadors at the time when I applied, so they just found one guy, Mike, who's from Edmonton. They said, hey, Mike, here's this guy's number. Let him know what he needs to know about Sherman. went out of his way and just helped me in any way that he could.
That's awesome. I think more schools need to be like that in their application process if they really want to get these, masters or doctorate students. They really care for them. I think that is like as you said, it like not only makes like the applicant feel so much more special, but it makes it so much more inviting and a place you want to be there. Whereas a lot of places you're applying and you're just kind of scared almost during the application process, and you don't get a lot of feedback back. So that's huge perk.
Yeah, two entirely different atmospheres. One where everyone's kind of like on edge and just like, well, like it is very like scary and fear based. Like it's like you wait in line, you only speak when spoken to, or like Sherman's like very much just like they want you to succeed, they want to help you as much as possible, and they're definitely willing to do that.
Right. I'm assuming you needed to get your F1 visa out there to study south of the border.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there's websites that you can just Google and find various things that you'll need to get across the border and whatever you need to as a Canadian student studying in the U.S. And the school helps with that as well. They'll give you any letters that you need for crossing the border.
Right.
There's tons of websites dedicated just to that. Like I had to figure out, I have a dog and I bring him down to school with me, like what paperwork I need to bring when I cross the border and just everything like that. So
with your dog?
Yeah.
With Tucker?
Yeah, with
nice.
Tucker.
Amazing. Yeah, and if you're, looking into chiropractic college, did you need to wait to get your acceptance before you applied for your visa, or did you kind of have to do that before you even knew if you were going to get in or not?
No, so they were really good. It's a small school, and they try to make sure that there's lots of staff to just accommodate every student. Like you never feel like you're on your own there.
Perfect.
And so they're really quick. Like I think I got I wasn't sure if I wanted to start. So how our school works is instead of semesters or trimesters, we do quarters. There's 4 quarters obviously in the year, and you can start at any one of those quarters. So you can start one of 4 times per year, whereas most schools is either once or maybe twice a year. So with Sherman, you can start 4 times a year.
Oh, that's so flexible.
Yes, very flexible. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to start right after I graduated in April or if I wanted to wait till the fall. So they got me from when I first contacted them to my acceptance. I think it was about a week. They really, really fast tracked me because they weren't sure if I was going to start, only a couple weeks away. And they were like, yeah, let's go. Let's get this paperwork done. Yeah. And they really sped things along. Like, the only thing I was waiting for was all the government stuff.
Right.
But that came.
And are you working there at all? Because I know under the F1 I think you can work up to 20 hours down there.
Yeah, so you can only work in your field that you're in school for. And even then it's kind of a little difficult. So that's another reason why they try to give the scholarship. Sherman does, because they know that the international students can't, you can work a part-time job on the side, like at a Wendy's or something. Like you need to be working in the field, and there's not a whole lot within that. But the school does work study, so they definitely try to get the international students to do work study to help along.
Right, work study just on campus, right?
Yeah. Sorry, so like in the library or wherever it may be.
Good to know. So within your program, what types of hands-on experience are you getting? Like preceptorship or shadowing, or can you talk to any of your potential placements?
So hands-on, I guess outside the classroom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something going on like every week. There's a seminar or conference or something. Like the school's always bringing in top-notch chiropractors from all over the world. So there's always ways for you to learn. And then you kind of get introduced to various doctors, and then all that's kind of on your own time and of your own volition. Like you can do as much or as little of that as possible, but the thing is that everyone there wants to be there, needs to be there, so they're doing all these things on the side. So yeah, you can shadow any doc that you want so long as they allow you to.
Right.
You can shadow doctors, and then we do it so there's 14 quarters, so it's 3.5 years accelerated. So it's not there's no breaks. There's a 3-week break between in the summer and the winter, and then a 1 week break in the spring and fall. There's no like huge break in the middle of it, like for summer break or anything like that. So it accelerates it from a 4-year program to a 3.5-year program. And so your first 8 quarters is all like the classroom stuff on top of like hands-on classroom stuff, and then 9 through 14 are in the clinic. If you still have classroom stuff, but you're in the clinic as well. For your last quarter, you can either stay and keep doing what you're doing in the student clinic at school, or you can do preceptorship, externship, whatever you want to call it, where you can go to a doctor and you can basically do everything that they do except adjust. You cannot adjust in your last quarter if you do the externship. So there's pros and cons to it. I definitely plan on doing it. There's a doctor in Ontario that has kind of taken me on as he's like my mentor now. So
Perfect.
He's already kind of said that I'll be doing my 14th quarter there. So
cool. And what exams do you need to take in order to practice in Canada?
So you need to graduate from an accredited school, which Sherman is, and then you need to take the national board exam. So that's there, and you have to take it the Canadian boards because there's different boards. So all my friends right now are taking their American boards. There's 3 parts to the Canadian boards, and they're actually a lot later than the American boards.
Okay.
American boards start in 7th quarter, and then they're kind of broken up, and there's 4 parts, whereas the Canadian boards are back heavy. They're all in your last year, and there's 3 parts. You just need to pass all of those, and then you get your license, and you're good to go.
It sounds so easy. How many attempts do you get at these boards, or these board exams?
I'm not too sure. It's still, the Canadian boards are still a little bit away from me,
okay.
So I haven't gotten too familiar with all that.
Okay.
And the other thing with being at an American school is you get all this stuff in American terms. So I know a ton about the American boards.
I bet. For sure.
That's one downfall, I guess.
And did you need to take a certain exam to practice in Ontario specifically?
I don't believe so. I don't think
okay.
I think there's one board and then you can practice wherever in Canada. In the States, you have to pass each state board.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's just all across the board, just one.
Gotcha. I think our other chiropractic students said you had to take one. I'm not too sure about Ontario, but you do have to take an additional exam to practice in BC at least.
That could be true. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Our audience can do their own due diligence there. So, what else might a student need to consider if they want to study at Sherman College that you can speak to? So, things like insurance or loans, or how transit, your phone plan.
So some things I got to consider. Yeah. So phone plans are dirt cheap down there. I pay currently $27 a month US.
That is unreal.
$27 a month, which is unlimited texting, call, and 10 gigs of data. So
wow,
very cheap. Rent is quite cheap down there as well. There's very affordable options in that area. It's not the most glamorous area that the school's in. Like, it's not like beat up and run down, but it's very modest blue collar town. So rent is cheap, and if you want something nicer, there's options for that as well. What else can you consider?
Did you get any insurance or loans? Yeah.
So you need some health insurance. So I just got one, basically like for like catastrophes, and then you're covered with that. I think it was $150 for the year. No, maybe more. I can't remember exactly what it was.
It was around there.
If people are curious, they can reach out to me, and I
can
find it. Another thing that people need to consider, not when they're going to Sherman or if they want to go to Sherman, this is kind of once you're there, but a big thing that I feel like we need to touch on is technique. So chiropractic isn't just like the art of chiropractic. There's art within the chiropractic field. So there's over 200 different techniques that I'm aware of.
Wow.
So basically, it's just how you address the spine, how you choose to locate, analyze, and correct these vertebral subluxations. There's 100 different ways, or 200 different ways to do it. So just once you get there, that's another thing to consider. Is it's not just, okay, I'm here to do chiropractic. It's like, okay, how are you going to do that chiropractic?
Wow.
So So yeah, like we say, like we have the philosophy, science, and art, which is like the three-legged stool of chiropractic. So the philosophy is your why, the science is the what, and the art is the how. So the art of the adjustment is the how. So I personally plan on doing an upper cervical technique. So that's basically where I'm only going to be adjusting the top two vertebrae in the spine. So C1 and C2 are atlas axis. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wondering, why would you be doing that?
Right.
24
I was about to ask.
Why are you doing on just two? Like, that seems kind of dumb. Like, you're limiting yourself. And basically the reason for that is just because it's such an important area anatomically and physiologically that if you address that, a lot of different things are going to address themselves because of the importance of the anatomy. So I actually have a little model here. So this is your atlas. So the top vertebra in your spine. So they call it the atlas because Atlas, Greek god, held up the world. Atlas holds up your skull, which encases your brain. That is your world. It holds it up. And so it's a very important bone because I'll go through a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So through here runs your brainstem. The brainstem is very, very important. The medulla oblongata specifically. It controls your respiratory center, sleep-wake center, blood pressure, all these different things. It has a ton of functions, especially with your parasympathetic nervous system. So that runs right there. So if you have it's here and it's your atlas is out of alignment, putting pressure on that, twisted or anything like that, you can have a slew of different problems there. Another important anatomical structure is through these little transverse foramen, these two little holes here, runs your vertebral arteries. So those supply 20% of the blood to your brain, specifically your cerebellum and your brainstem, I believe. Don't put me on that. I'm a little rusty on cardiovascular anatomy. But so that's supplying 20% of the blood to your brain, and it takes two very sharp 90-degree turns right after and for this little junction here. So it's already at a pretty compromised state just because of the anatomy. It has to take those turns. So if, once again, that atlas is subluxated or misaligned, putting pressure on that, torquing that, occluding that, well, now you're sacrificing blood flow to the brain, which is not very good. Also, in front of these transverse processes run your internal jugular vein and your carotid artery, which is carotid artery is the additional 80% of the blood supply to your brain, and the jugular vein is 100% of the venous drainage from the brain. So you have 100% within this small area, you have 100% of your blood to the brain and from the brain. So if any of that's compromised, well, now you're cutting off oxygen and nutrients to your brain, and it can't get rid of all the bad stuff through the blood. So you're causing it. This is basically the bottleneck point. So if anything's going on here, then you have a whole slew of other problems. Another big thing that is coming up right now is research in the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is the lymphatic system for your brain. So it's getting rid of all the waste. So your cerebrospinal fluid, which is what cleans your brain, basically cleans your brain of all the different neurotoxins and waste products. So it also drains through this junction here. So there's a ton of research being done right now specifically on this because they're seeing such good results. But if you cut off this area, if you like putting a cork in a wine bottle, if you cut that off and you don't have circulation of the CSF, well, then you're going to see a lot of problems. You have cooling of these toxins in your brain, and then also pneumatics. You can't compress a fluid, and there's more fluid in there and it's trapped. Well, what's going to compress? The brain is going to compress. So you can run into a whole slew of issues with this. And there's a doctor in New York State who's working with the inventor of the MRI, Dr. Canadian, and they're doing research where they're taking pre-MRIs, adjusting the patient, and then post-MRIs, functional MRIs, so they're videos to see the cerebrospinal fluid moving up and down the spinal column from the spinal column, or the spinal cord up into the brain and back.
Yeah.
Pumps in, out. You see, it's blocked. At that point where the atlas sits, it's blocked. It's creating a bottleneck. It's not going up. It's not coming out. You have this choking point. Get the adjustment, rest the patient, then they take another one, and you just see this fluid up and down, up and down. moving perfectly. So the reason why Dr. Damadian, who's a medical doctor, who he's become very interested in this aspect of chiropractic is because it's seeing such good results. They're doing studies with post-concussion syndrome athletes. There's actually a 30 for 30 with the 85 Chicago Bears where the quarterback, Jim McMahon, he talks about, he went to this chiropractor in New York and he got this atlas adjustment done. And he said the way he described it, it was like flushing the toilet.
Yeah.
He just felt all this fluid in his head go down. And it's a really good video. I recommend anyone try to find it. It's 85 Bears, 30 for 30 ESPN. And it's towards the end where Jim McMahon's talking about this. And he says, basically going through how all of his teammates, a bunch of his teammates are committing suicide and just have all these like depression, anxiety, can't sleep, all these different problems. And he said he was starting to have those things. And then he went to this chiropractor who wasn't treating him for post-concussion syndrome, wasn't treating him for brain lesions. He found this subluxation that was causing interference, removed it through the adjustment, and felt the flushing of the fluid. He felt all these different things changed in his body, and he said he no longer has suicidal thoughts or anything like that. So that's kind of like my introduction to chiropractic is more than just low back pain, which I'm sure a lot of people think, oh, I have low back pain, I should go see a chiropractor.
Exactly.
If you have a spine, you should go see a chiropractor. That's my opinion on it. If you go see a dentist for your teeth and gums, health with that twice a year, that's pretty common for most people. What are you doing for your spine? Your spine, which houses your spinal column, which protects this nervous system that's like, if you cut that spinal cord, you lose all function below there. That's pretty serious. So, I mean, that's just kind of where I think people need to start realizing the importance of your nervous system, of this health, how much of an aspect of health that it is, and that you can do a lot with it. Not that we're treating you for any of these things, but just the fact that your body can heal and adapt to all these different stresses.
For sure. And I think a lot of people overlook that. And thank you so much for that explanation. I think, that sheds a lot of light on, what chiropractic care is all about. And, it really sheds some light on why you went in and why you were going to be focusing on, upper cervical. Super fascinating with the Atlas. I think you could almost have your own episode on really, going into the science of that.
Yeah. Well, and funny enough, there actually, there's now, it's been around for a few years now. There's a diplomate program. So it's an additional 3 years of study. It's not 3 years in school, it's 3 years. It's like on weekends every now and then,
right?
Just on upper cervical care. So it's 3 more years just on the anatomy in this tiny little section of the body, because there's 3+ years of information and knowledge in this area because it's so important. So my mentor, he actually went through that and completed that. That's something else I do as well. So
and I think
the learning doesn't end after your 3.5 years in school.
Right. You're always learning.
Yeah. Sure.
And I think, just honestly, that display of and wealth of knowledge you have right there, I think is just another testament to how passionate you are about what you study. And I think that's so important in any practitioner in their program, because you really do need that passion. And as as someone who's gone to various chiros and practitioners, you can really tell who's really passionate about what they do and who really wants to help you out. And the difference between those people and some practitioners where it's just another day job and it's just, patients in and out the door. There's not really that level of care, patient care, makes such a big difference.
And I think a lot of that starts with just the admissions process.
Yeah.
Why do you even want to go there? Because a lot of those people might not be passionate about it because they never were passionate about it. I know several people who never wanted to become chiropractors. They wanted to go to medical school.
Right.
Then couldn't get into medical school. Then they said, okay, well, I'll become a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
Couldn't get into physiotherapy school. And then they said, oh, I still want to be a doctor, so I'll apply to chiropractic school. And they go there, and it's like, are you there for the right reasons? Yes, you can still do a lot of good, but I just think the intention needs to be there. You need to. I'm not saying you can't find it along the way. That's definitely not what I'm saying, because I know a lot of people who kind of went to school because they wanted to be a doctor and they couldn't get into med school. Now they're the most passionate people about chiropractic. But I just think it's doing everyone a disservice to bring people in who aren't there because of their life's purpose. And I know, like, you might think like, oh, this guy's just a one-off. Like, no, like my school is a bunch of freaks. Like we are all just like this. We are all just, we wake up, we eat, sleep, breathe chiropractic.
That's great.
I don't have a life without a chiropractor. I don't clock out at the end of the day and stop becoming a chiropractor or stop being a chiropractor. I'm 100% always a chiropractor. Even though I'm a chiropractic student, I still try to get into that mindset. I'm a chiropractor. This is my life's purpose. This is what I'm here for. And you do it in everything. I'll be, in the grocery store and just, I'll find a way to bring chiropractic into things. I'll bring it.
Anything you wish you would have wanted to know, or you think you would have done differently before applying to Sherman, or make your application better in any way?
Things I wish I would have known more about before I came in was just, I wish I knew more about chiropractic and what it really is. I wish I knew this amazing power the body has to heal itself, and it's this selflessness of the chiropractor in a way that like we don't take the credit. Like if I give an adjustment, like I did not heal that person of anything. That was not me. It's empowering that person to say, your body did that. Your body is amazing. It has the capacity to heal anything. Really, like right now, like your body and my body are creating cancer cells and destroying cancer cells. Like it does this stuff all day long, and we just need to realize that and kind of open our minds to that and to see like. I wish I would have known that, because I might have taken a 3-year degree and just went right after 3 years in my undergrad, because you can apply after 3 years to most schools. So I might have just not done my 4-year degree and started doing chiropractic earlier, because I don't think enough people hear this side of the argument. I think because there's not very many schools that teach this, there's not many people who practice this, so it doesn't get shared. So people kind of get like the one-off chiropractic, so pain treating, low back pain, come in when you ache, after that you're kind of, wham bam, thank you ma'am, one and done. Just it's not facilitating that like, and it's not like a scam either. Like you should be coming in for your chiropractor. Absolutely, you should. Like I plan on adjusting my children the day they're born to the day that I die or they die. Like it's a part of your life. It needs to start from the beginning and continue on. And I feel like people need to know that. And I don't think the message is getting out there. And I hope that this gets out there. I hope more people start realizing that there's more to chiropractic than just treating low back pain or,
for sure,
aches and pain. But it's about life. It's about making sure that your nervous system is functioning properly, brain and body are communicating, and you're expressing your life to the fullest.
Do you have any last tips for students who are on the fence about studying, at a chiropractic school and potentially abroad, and potentially at Sherman?
Tips, I would say go shadow a doctor. Go find a chiropractor, any chiropractor. Find several actually. See what you like about some. See what you don't like about others. You might hate what I said, and so don't come to Sherman. Find a chiropractor who practices like what I've talked about. Maybe you love it, maybe you hate it. Go see someone else who practices entirely differently. See what you like, see what you don't like. If you guys want to know a list of chiropractors in Canada who practice the way that I've been speaking about, I have a list. I can share that with you guys. Like it's great. I would definitely just say get out there and just find doctors, see what they say, see what they like, what they don't like, see what jives with you, what doesn't, and try to find a school that fits that. I would definitely say don't go to a school because it's closer, because it's easier, because this or that. Go because that's what you need to learn. They have the knowledge that you need to gain. I almost made that mistake of going to a school that didn't teach what I wanted to know, thinking I could just kind of, just put my head down and just get through it. And then I'm thank God every day that never happened. I'm for sure, and I'm getting what I need. Right. And I would hate to see anyone else go to any school, Sherman or any other, that they don't need to be at and not get the knowledge that